Bloomberg's Josh Barro makes a case. Business Insider's Joe Weisenthal takes on the idea. There's a petition afoot. In the end, just beating House Republicans the old-fashioned way is a president's best course. Matt Cooper and the guy over at Mother's Journal, whatever it's called, Mother Jones, takes your head off. Well, they just say, baloney, this is a technicality.
I agree with Matt Cooper that the best course of action is to raise or abolish the debt limit and proceed with the normal course of operating government. This is a plan B that we're putting forward. Basically, the issue is the executive branch ought to have the power to borrow money to pay bills, to cover costs that Congress has already appropriated. So this is to pay for, it's not the president spending on whatever he wants, it's spending to pay for what was in appropriations bills for this year and what is required by law for Medicare, Social Security, and other mandatory programs.
The legislative branch does that. They do bills so they can bring in bonds and notes, and the money comes in and we pay our bills.
Well, there's nothing in the Constitution that requires that we have a debt limit. There's a law imposing that. But otherwise, if we didn't have this law, the limit on the executive branch's ability to borrow would be whatever spending authority was created by Congress. So abandoning the debt limit is not abandoning that power for Congress. If Congress doesn't want to spend money, they don't have to pass appropriations bills.
The most important thing that we're going to keep hitting home is the debate about the debt limit is fundamentally a debate about whether we're going to pay our bills or not, which is an absurd debate to have because we're a rich country and not paying our bills would be catastrophic.
But we need discipline to do that.
And we have a process by which there can be discipline, and that's the budget. And the Republicans, if they really want to stand firm, don't have to pass the continuing resolution. And there's politics, and they could win more elections to reshape fiscal policy. But debating whether we're actually going to pay past bills is not good policy. So as absurd as the $1 trillion coin sounds, it's not as absurd as
is the platinum idea here just shifting from a gold standard to try to find a new platinum standard?
No, the coin is only platinum because the law happens to say that this authority.
It's not a law, it's a technicality.
It's a law. It is the plain language of the law.
It is not a law. Everybody I've talked to says it was a screwed up technicality, and so they have this thing in now that's about numismatic. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
It's the plain text of the law says that the Treasury Secretary may issue platinum coins with what specifications he designs, including denominations.
Come on.
Congress debating whether it's not going to pay its past bills is more absurd than this.
Look, basically, the situation is that the president should be able to borrow and he can't. He shouldn't be able to print, and he can because of this technicality.
Why should the president be able to borrow? That's the job of the legislative branch of the United States.
No, it's the job of the legislative branch to authorize spending, which they have done. The purpose of the borrowing is instrumental in order to pay for the spending that Congress has already offered.
Okay, it may be ridiculous, but the proposal that you have here is absolutely ridiculous. First of all, it involves the New York Fed, which completely blurs the line between monetary policy and fiscal policy. It also would create hyperinflation, and it would completely devalue our currency by $1 trillion.
This is not going to create hyperinflation because the administration, their end game here is not to print. Their end game is to borrow. And so what they will say is that they will issue debt in order to buy back all the issued currency. So long as they're authorized to do so by Congress.
This is not going to create hyperinflation because this is not an uncontrolled helicopter drop of $1 trillion into the economy. All spending is to some extent inflationary, and all taxes pull money out and to some extent deflationary. The basic equation of how much has been allocated for spending and how much will be taxes goes unchanged.
Both of you and everybody out there, read this. Barry Eichengreen's Golden Fetters is definitive on the gold standard. I'm sorry, this is a hope and prayer to go back to a scarcity, a scarce metal. In this case, platinum is a surrogate.
No, it's trying to avoid an arbitrary scarcity.
Why is platinum involved? Why can't we use
because the loss?
Get off the platinum. That's not the point.
Yeah, the platinum doesn't matter. It's not. We don't need $1 trillion worth of platinum. The coin just happens to be made out of platinum because of this technicality.
To satisfy the technicality.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to need Josh Barro to agree with the technicality.
We need about 12 grams of platinum to execute this strategy. It's not. We're not
going to have a platinum-backed currency. We're only trying to get around a legal. The debt ceiling is an absurd legal contrivance, and we're using another absurd legal
I'm in Matt Cooper's camp.
What would that do to the credibility of our central bank?
What would it do to the credibility of the central bank to run into the point
let's start with the credibility of the country. You guys have created a public service here. Seriously, this has been a public service to explain how desperate we are, and Matt Cooper nails it by saying what we got to do is be grown up and have an actual debate in Congress.
I agree with that, but Congress is not going to be grown up. We put it on the cover of our own magazine. They're all babies. This is the only way for the administration to force Congress back to the table to basically say, you're going to be absurd, I'll be absurd, and if we give up our absurd powers together, we can fix this.